what was interesting about that game is I still think it's this 1 hour delay. I've been to a lot of games, and I've never seen a 1 hour delay in the middle of a game, especially at an NFL game, other than, well, I guess there was a rain delay to start the San Francisco game before, but that was because the field had bubbled because there was so much rain coming down. This was like natural disaster, like crazy lightning storms all around the stadium. It was incredible.
Yeah, I didn't think there could be a delay other than, say, a volcano delay, locally anyway. I mean, I figured nationally, hey, that's their problem. I mean, do you remember they had that playoff game years ago where they played in the fog, Chicago and Philly?
Yeah.
And they had to use field-level cameras because it was that dense of fog, and I thought the NFL always plays.
Sure.
So a delay was just strange.
It was strange. And then, you get this massive amounts of rain and thunder and lightning. I mean, and we're starting to see more of that. I mean, I've lived here a long time, and, I don't want to get political, but you cannot say that this is how Seattle's weather always has been. I mean, there's crazy windstorms. There's a lot more water coming.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sorry, folks. I mean, your political leanings may be for a different batch, but I mean, the global warming and the weather changes for real. I didn't just read some liberal media stuff. I mean, my uncle's a soil scientist, and he has collaborated with a lot of folks. And I've seen firsthand data in my own hands. I mean, we have 2 million years worth of data out of the Antarctic ice cap. This warming is real, and it's caused by us, and it's changing everything. Yeah.
So when you start looking at the amount of water and these natural disasters that are, well, I mean, not natural disasters, but climate change, which could eventually become a pretty big disaster. But when you start looking at that regarding a house or something you want to buy or a place you want to live, is there a lot of different things that you need to be thinking about?
Exactly. This is the perfect time of year to get on your game and get your property as prepared as possible. Now, even the most prepared property can be overwhelmed. And I'll give you an example. The place I live, right in front of the two-car garage, there's an exterior drain, and it's in a little bit of a low setting. And Bellevue City storm drain system was overwhelmed, so I see it pooling up. It's about a foot deep. I reach in the water, pull off the drain, and I can actually feel positive pressure pushing through the drain because the city system could not handle the total capacity. So in that situation, you're really down to having good insurance because there's no prep you can do if the city cannot handle the excess capacity. So that's tying into what you're saying about, patterns changing. If there's new levels of rainfall, it's up to us to not only have the right insurance, but to pressure the city to improve their infrastructure.
Right, with all the extra money.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we'll just say, let's get new roads and new drains.
Hey, if unemployment's dropping, there should be more revenue on the books, but I'm no politician, thank goodness.
So, Michael, so that's obviously something you can't control. I mean, you and I cannot control the city increasing the capacity of their drains. Are there things that people are looking for within a house that makes that house safer, or is it not quite gotten to that level where, people are really interested in, well, how does all the rain get dispersed if there's extra? I mean, are those questions people are asking?
Some are asking, but everyone should be asking. And I really try as a broker to bring up every worst-case scenario I can. In fact, some of my clients think I'm just out there to knock everything down. But the bottom line is I don't have to warn anyone about the upside of a property. I just have to make sure people don't get burned to the best of my capacity. Mm-hmm. So you start with the big picture things, and then, we'll break it down into further detail. But location, you got to make sure, if you buy a house on a floodplain, number one, I don't advise it. And number two, if you have to, there's a few things you can do. I grew up out in the Skokomish Valley. That's the valley out in the Olympic Peninsula where every November the rains hit and you see the salmon swimming across the road. That's where I grew up. My parents had the savvy to build a home on the hill. And a lot of my friends were down in the floodplain. And if you build a home on topsoil, the river brought the topsoil, and it's coming back pretty much year after year. So you can either, A, build a home on stilts like they do on the Mekong Delta in Vietnam, because that gets flooded all the time, or you really have to build up a rock promontory. I mean, you have to elevate above the floodplain, a good 5-6 feet, and then you don't get a basement. So I really think building on a floodplain or living there is doing things the hard way, to be honest.
It would seem that way, right? Yeah. Judging by the fact it's flooding all the time. So flooding, that's obviously a big piece. Is there other things? Side of the hill, Colorado just washed away, and they're on the side of a pretty big hill.
Yeah, that's so brutal and catastrophic. I mean, there's no real prep advice I can offer on that. I mean, no matter where you go to Kansas, you get a tornado. You go to California, you get an earthquake. You go to Washington, you get volcanoes and earthquakes. I mean,
yeah.
So, but as far as year in, year out, regular storm prep, definitely you want, when you have siding done in your home or windows or roof, you want to make sure that whoever does that really knows how to handle all the flashing, all those details quite well. Because you may think, hey, my home weathered the storm really well, but in reality, the excess hydrostatic pressure pushed through various weak points in the siding. And now you have moisture problems, and then you'll have mold problems. And then as Jim will tell you, I mean, all of a sudden, you can't live in that house anymore. So you really need to be on every exterior detail. Anywhere you can stop the driving rain from coming in, you have to address it.
Talk to me a little bit about, we talked about rain, but a lot of these storms have also included a lot of wind. Is there, I mean, and I always just think of trees. I mean, you see trees hit houses just about every year. Is that something people think about? I mean, I know we look up at some of the trees in our neighborhood and we're like, I wonder if that one would reach us.
Yeah, no, perfect timing on that point. That's another big part of it. So you go from the larger scale location, hey, am I going to live in a river valley or up on a hill? Now you think, okay, I have this lot. It's on a slope. Now I think, okay, this whole lot has got a couple things. It's got drainage issues, which we'll talk about, but trees, you really want to consult with someone who, it doesn't have to be an arborist. You know, we have plenty of local lumberjacks. They know a healthy tree. They know a weak tree when they see it. I grew up out in Sheldon. There's plenty of people there. They know how to run a chainsaw and spot a good tree from a bad tree. Have someone walk your property and look for all the spots where a tree could come down. Like you look up in Issaquah, we had a windstorm, 2006, and that one house was hit by half a dozen plus trees, and they were all that really skinny second growth. They were tall, vulnerable, didn't have the root structure, and there's plenty of people who can spot that.
And so trees, I mean, that's another big one. So are people cutting down trees when they move in? I mean, do you see that? Are people preparing for that? Or is it typically an after-the-fact thing?
It's unfortunately too often a reactive thing. You definitely want to be proactive with this, because who wants to pay higher homeowners insurance at the end of the day? I mean, if you have the right policy in place, sure, you're covered, but then you might be living in a hotel for 3 weeks. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But it's not just cutting down the vulnerable trees, but also some trees are super strong, but they have huge limbs, and you want to have that tree limbed up from the bottom. And anything, because some of these limbs, you know, they could weigh anywhere from 500 up to 1,000 pounds if they're water soaked, and they can kill people and smash things. So, yeah, you want an entire evaluation of the vegetation.
You had mentioned drainage. Now, if you start taking out too many trees, you can also end up with a lot of loose soil in some cases, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you definitely have to. I mean, some properties have a gentle enough slope. You don't need a retaining wall. In other properties, you need to do some terracing. And if you have a concrete engineered wall, on the backside of that wall, you have to have properly engineered drainage. So this is not the easy route. It's not the cheap route. But the bottom line is you have to approach it from a worst-case scenario. You have torrents coming down the hillside. What's going to protect your structure? And you really have to look at your structure and think, okay, are there any slopes actually bringing water via gravity straight at the structure? Because in a perfect world, you have your home and everything slopes away from it, so water naturally drains away. But I see a lot of properties that they just have a slope that you have to find a way to route the water right and left around the structure as it comes down the hill. So
certainly a lot to think about, as you're buying a house, because so often we talk about the bedrooms and the bathrooms and the school districts, but, as you get into with the crazier weather we're having and you start getting into this crazy weather season, these are things that, people probably are willing to, I would imagine, it's not, the emotional tug isn't there of, oh, well, the water is going to come down the hill as much as it is for school districts or neighborhood.
Yeah, those things are driving things first. I mean, our difficult commuting situation around here, that's first and foremost in my client's mind.
Get angry every day, 2 hours a day, or maybe the tree falls on my house.
Right. Yeah, there's a staggering number of variables when shopping for a home. And so it's easy to be overwhelmed. But The bottom line is, if you've addressed schools and your ability to access your job, then at that point, see if you can get that property and modify it in a way that you don't have these hazards in place. Just like Jim's talking about with making sure you have the proper fire prep, you got to have the right water prep too.